Police call them the Wild 100.
Chief Ed Flynn says the group is responsible for an extraordinary number of stolen vehicles.
And that is just the beginning.
If you live in Kenosha, Racine, and parts of northern Illinois, you might have seen hundreds of FBI agents and local police sweeping through neighborhoods, all targeting leadership in a gang called Maniac Latin Disciples.
Milwaukee County prosecutors say they've charged some of the top members of the Menace of Destruction. Authorities say they're a Hmong gang that has strong ties to Milwaukee, and they've been committing violent crimes in 4 states and all across Wisconsin.
The history and ongoing activity of gangs in Wisconsin reflect broader social and economic changes across the state's urban areas, particularly Milwaukee and Madison. Rising poverty and declining job opportunities in the 1970s and 1980s contributed to the growth of gangs, initially as neighborhood-based groups and later as offshoots of larger organizations like the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and Latin Kings from Chicago. Over time, Wisconsin's gang landscape evolved, encompassing diverse groups involved in crimes such as drug trafficking, fraud, and gun violence. This history is punctuated by numerous high-profile indictments and arrests that underscore the persistent challenge of organized crime and gang influence across the state. The history of gangs in Wisconsin, particularly in cities like Milwaukee and Madison, traces back to the economic challenges of the 1970s and 1980s. With the decline of manufacturing and the rise of poverty, young people in urban areas often turned to gangs for identity, protection, and income. Early on, gang activity in Milwaukee was organized around smaller, neighborhood-based groups. However, during the 1980s, more structured gangs, like the Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and Latin Kings from Chicago, began to establish a presence in Wisconsin, sparking competition over drug territories. In the 1990s, the drug epidemic worsened gang-related crime, leading to heightened law enforcement measures, such as the Federal Safe Streets Initiative. This era also saw the emergence of smaller local gangs across the state, some aligned with major organizations and others operating independently. The 2000s brought community programs aimed at reducing gang activity through job creation and education, while law enforcement improved its focus with efforts like the Milwaukee Commission. The 2010s saw a shift, with social media becoming a tool for gang recruitment, coordination, and conflict. Gang conflicts have adapted to digital platforms, leading to a decrease in traditional territorial disputes and an increase in online beefs. Despite these changes, Milwaukee continues to face gang-related violence. Today, Wisconsin combats gang activity with a combination of law enforcement, community programs, and social initiatives, all aiming to provide alternatives and support for at-risk youth.
Breaking news from this morning, an FBI raid at a Milwaukee home is connected to a federal fraud and for hire investigation. Federal agents used flashbangs this morning to draw a man from a home near 72nd and Silver Spring. News Chopper 12 flew over the scene, showing him taken into custody. Tonight, we've learned he is one of 27 people named in a 43-count indictment unsealed today. The people charged are accused of being associated with a Milwaukee street gang called the Wild 100s. The indictment accuses some of using millions of dollars from fake pandemic unemployment assistance applications to buy guns, drugs, and even kill a man for money.
The indictment alleges that the defendants conspired to commit mail fraud by submitting false applications for unemployment benefits, including those under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, to defraud the Department of Labor. They reportedly used these unlawfully obtained federal funds, amounting to millions of dollars, for purchases like firearms, drugs, luxury items, vacations, and to arrange a hire. The indictment charges Ronell Bowman and Ronnie Jackson with arranging a deletion for hire, using interstate commerce to facilitate this plan between March 15 and April 5, 2021. Count 28 further charges these defendants with using and discharging a firearm in the deletion for hire, resulting in a deletion. Each of these counts could result in a life sentence, with count 28 carrying a mandatory minimum of 10 years.
now, and Milwaukee police call them the Wild 100.
Chief Ed Flynn says the group is responsible for an extraordinary number of stolen vehicles.
Well, Mike and Courtney, the chief says that gang is responsible for causing and terrorizing all parts of Milwaukee, all over the city. It was right here where he says one of those gang members caused a terrible accident last night.
Tonight, police announced a dozen arrests tied to a violent gang on the city's north side.
It follows a very violent start to the year already. 1,550 stolen cars. And just last night, police say a teen stole a car, led officers on a chase, and then crashed into several other cars.
That boy is affiliated with a street gang known as the Wild 100s. Coincidentally, the target of morning police and federal raids in Milwaukee, leading to nearly a dozen arrests.
We're talking about a gang that is a loose group of criminal crews that run under the same banner and are creating havoc in all parts of the city of Milwaukee.
District 4 Captain Vic Beecher says the gang attracts young people through social media.
Milwaukee Police Chief Ed Flynn announced a major breakthrough with the arrest of multiple members of the Wild 100s gang in a coordinated operation. 11 individuals were detained, adding to over 100 gang-related arrests since September. Chief Flynn highlighted that the gang, which originated on Chicago's South Side, is responsible for significant crimes in Milwaukee, including car thefts, armed robberies, drug trafficking, and violent incidents such as shootings. During the operation, Milwaukee police recovered firearms, drugs, and cash. The sweep builds on previous efforts, as police have filed 180 felony charges and seized over 35 firearms since the operation began. Chief Flynn emphasized the goal of diminishing the gang's influence in the community by systematically prosecuting involved individuals. The gang's crimes have also led to tragic events, including the demise of a 13-month who was shot when an accused dealer allegedly fired into the wrong home. Another incident involved a gang member fatally shot during a robbery attempt, underscoring the community impact of the gang's violence. Chief Flynn reinforced the commitment to erode the gang's influence by building robust cases against those arrested, aiming to protect Milwaukee neighborhoods.
Shootings, beatings, and robberies tonight. 15 members of a Milwaukee street gang are charged with a series of violent crimes.
Well, Terry, this is only the second time since 2002 that these kind of charges have been filed in Milwaukee County. Tonight, 7 of the 15 suspects charged are in jail for years of organized criminal activity. We've been covering the crimes over a span of 6 years, including this shooting at a park back in 2007 and the beating of this teenager in rival gang colors near a gas station in August of 2009. Milwaukee County prosecutors say they've charged some of the top members of the Menace of Destruction. Authorities say they're a Hmong gang that has strong ties to Milwaukee, and they've been committing violent crimes in 4 states and all across Wisconsin.
Where you have a tightly knit organization, it's very difficult to penetrate that organization because of family ties, because of unique cultural issues that tie them together.
Menace of Destruction, also known as MOD, posted pictures and rap videos on YouTube and MySpace, showing off symbols and sporting their color red.
The Menace of Destruction, a Wisconsin-based Hmong gang, was involved in a range of violent and criminal activities, including shootings, stabbings, aggravated assaults, burglaries, and perjury over a 6-year period across 5 states, as detailed in a 67-page criminal complaint from the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. The charges, based on years of investigation and information from 6 confidential informants, name 15 members and associates of the gang. This long-term investigation included collaboration between local police in Wisconsin and Minnesota, as well as state and federal agents, and follows a federal indictment of 17 gang members on related charges. The complaint outlines the gang's history, rituals, and use of symbols such as the color red and the 5-dot symbol. Violent initiation practices, drug trafficking, auto theft, burglary, and a protracted turf war with the Asian Crips, which involved over 120 shootings and acts of violence from 2004 to 2009, were among the gang's activities. Key figures within the gang held titles like Shots, short for shot caller, who directed operations. The complaint also recounts incidents of weapon theft, including the 2007 burglary of a Pepin County shop where 34 firearms were stolen.
A year's worth of investigations led to dozens of arrests, all targeting one gang. If you live in Kenosha, Racine, and parts of northern Illinois, you might have seen hundreds of FBI agents and local police sweeping through neighborhoods, all targeting leadership in a gang called Maniac Latin Disciples. The major cause was drug trafficking in the area, and a majority of those arrested faced charges of conspiracy to distribute narcotics. However, after this sweep, 2 leaders in this gang have yet to be found. These 2 men are considered armed and dangerous.
26 individuals were arrested on state and federal charges related to drugs and firearms, following a series of coordinated raids across Racine and Kenosha counties in Wisconsin, as well as northern Illinois. The operation, led by the Southeastern Wisconsin Gang Task Force, was the culmination of a year-long investigation into gang activity in the region. The operation resulted in the seizure of 3 firearms, drugs, body armor, ammunition, and $85,000 in cash. Raids took place in Racine, Mount Pleasant, and Sturtevant, and involved multiple agencies, including SWAT teams. Racine Police Chief Art Howell confirmed that search warrants were carried out across various neighborhoods in Racine. The individuals arrested were identified as members of the Maniac Latin Disciples, a gang with roots in Chicago and a long-standing presence in the area since the 1990s. Racine Deputy Chief Todd Schultz emphasized that while this investigation spanned a year, intelligence gathering on the gang had been ongoing for several years. Ruben Ortiz, identified as the ringleader of a major drug operation in Green Bay, was recently convicted. On September 30th, Ortiz pleaded guilty before a federal judge to charges of conspiracy to distribute. His sentencing is scheduled for January 14th. Ortiz's conviction follows a lengthy investigation culminating in June 2019, when authorities executed search and arrest warrants in Green Bay. The indictment revealed significant drug seizure. Additionally, authorities confiscated numerous weapons, including handguns, rifles, and shotguns.
People arrested after Green Bay police break up a street gang in Brown County. Officers took 26-year-old Michael Dockstainer into custody on multiple charges. Investigators believe he was the leader of the gang.
Stacey, this gang is called the Bay City Latin Kings, and this investigation started 9 months ago, back in November of last year, and it included multiple agencies from throughout northeast Wisconsin.
This task force has dismantled this group, this gang. All the players are in jail or pending charges. They would have the meetings and the members would have to pay dues. They were expected to participate in criminal activity in furtherance of the gang.
9 individuals were arrested in connection with an alleged street gang operation believed to have distributed drugs across the region, Green Bay police reported on Tuesday. The arrests targeted the Bay City Latin Kings, following a 9-month investigation led by a specialized task force focused on gang activity. Among those detained, police identified a 26-year-old man from Green Bay as the purported gang leader, though he has not yet been formally charged. The operation also resulted in the seizure of significant quantities of drugs. Authorities are pursuing charges against the suspects, which may include maintaining a drug house, narcotics distribution, and possession with intent to deliver. The investigation, which began in November, revealed that the gang's alleged activities extended beyond Green Bay, involving nearby jurisdictions. According to police, the Bay City Latin Kings operated with a structured leadership hierarchy and enforced member rules, including dues and responsibilities. In a statement, police expressed confidence that the investigation had significantly dismantled this gang, signaling a strong warning to others involved in similar activities in the area. Federal immigration agents have arrested 14 men in Milwaukee as part of a targeted operation aimed at suspected foreign-born gang members. On Monday, authorities detained 13 Mexican nationals and 1 individual from the Dominican Republic. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, reported that the Mexican nationals are linked to the Mexican Posse street gang and are now in ICE custody awaiting deportation proceedings. The individual from the Dominican Republic had previously been deported and is now facing federal charges for illegally re-entering the United States. According to ICE, all 14 individuals have criminal histories in the U.S., with past arrests and convictions for offenses including narcotics trafficking, property damage, and theft. Despite major efforts from law enforcement, the influence of gangs in Wisconsin continues, with groups adapting to changes in technology and law enforcement tactics. Investigations and indictments over recent decades, from the Wild Hundreds and Latin Kings to smaller local groups, reveal an ongoing struggle to curb gang-related activities that impact neighborhoods. Today, Wisconsin relies on a combination of legal action, community initiatives, and collaborative law enforcement efforts to address gang-related crime and create safer communities for future generations.